and welcome back to part 2 of Little Nightmares, where today we're working through the second location of the game, the lair. The lair is where the game kind of not takes the stabilizers off, but starts testing you and seeing if you've actually been paying attention, because there will be a threat in this level that you need to be able to consciously find ways of dealing with to get around and survive. Also, get used to just running up to things and yanking on them to see if you can do anything with them. You're going to see me do it a lot through this, because I can't remember what you can and can't interact with. And that is something worth criticizing. The game isn't very consistent on telling you what can be grabbed and pulled and what can't. Like, sometimes there are things that seem way too heavy that your character can pull, and some things you're like, yeah, you could pull that, and they just can't. Like this big chair, yet we couldn't pull a bucket yesterday. So you just have to take it as it is. Just get into the habit of trying to grab everything and seeing what you can and can't mess with. There is a gnome hiding around back here. If you can spook off, we'll run off to the side back into the first room. But you can interact with this to get glimmers of future parts as well, because that was the last level. That is just a secret spot, which I don't think you can ever actually reach. That's for the next level, when we get to the kitchen. And that's glimmers of the final level. And you can hear the maiden humming to herself in the lights there. If you decide to open it up again, it will just show you a hand mirror sitting on a cushion. I meant to say pillow, but I was like, no, that's not big enough to be a pillow. But I gotta say, it is nice to be doing Let's Plays again. Maybe I just enjoy talking more than I'm prepared to admit, but I just enjoy being back, like sitting down, playing a video game and chilling with whoever wants to watch. And I know these smaller Let's Plays don't get as many views as the bigger ones, but I'm just enjoying playing it, so be it. I never really do it for viewers and subscriber counts. That being said, I am more than grateful that I have 200 subs right now. Like, the fact that 200 of you thought my stuff was entertaining enough to subscribe, I appreciate it immensely. Thank you so much. But it doesn't change how I'm going to work my things. I'm only ever going to do the stuff I like doing and want to do on this. I'm not going to try and cave into trends or anything like that, because I feel like that's not the point. I do this because I love video games and want to talk about them, nothing more. I don't want to start talking about specific ones to fit in or to try and get subscriber counts up or whatever. I'd rather just be me, and if people want to tag along for the ride, so be it. Alright, there's the key. It's on that little table over there. I know you're supposed to grab, like, I'll do it the proper way. Like, you're supposed to grab this briefcase and use it to pull down that lever. But I remember you can climb that toilet and sink, and if you angle your jump right, grab the side of that cabinet, and then climb that and get to the key quicker. And I'm sure if you're doing the hard to the core run, that's probably what you're doing. And I've been told, thankfully, that there isn't a hard to the core trophy in the second game, which means I might actually get all the trophies in Little Nightmares 2 when I eventually get around to buying it. But I'll probably get the DLC for this first. And I say this knowing my track record of I never did the DLC for Evil Within 1. But it is what it is. But this, you can grab this instead if you want to. But if you want to anyway, because there's a statue up here, so it might be quicker to take that route if you're good at your positioning and your depth perception. Which, to be honest, is the biggest thing that gets me killed in this game. At least it used to. I'm sure we'll find out as it goes on. It has been a number of years. I think this game came out in like 2017, if not 2018, and I got it around launch because it did look like an interesting, unique and different horror experience. Although, and to be fair, the horror isn't really the priority in this, which is what a lot of people thought it would be. There is definitely horror in it, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot more focused on the puzzle solving than anything else. It's just puzzle solving horror, I suppose. Okay, there's nothing of interest there. I'm checking every corner because the more collectibles I find on the route, the less I clean up I'll have to do at the end of the game. Uh-oh. Oh, right, these little monkey timers. Where they start clapping their hands together when they get knocked around. As you can imagine, since we are approaching a threat that is blind, they've got enhanced hearing instead because of how it affects their other senses. So, you know, this monkey timer is going to be a nuisance to us. But this is kind of an idea that I like, that with the lair, where the location feels more interconnected than others. We'll get to later. Like when we get to the kitchen later on, it feels a lot more linear. And what I mean by this is that remember this lift for later. There'll be a point later on where we'll run back through the area we're about to go to and back to this same lift. Like you get taken elsewhere, but you still end up in similar spots. So like the lair itself is quite organized in its structure. Oh, you can't carry the monkey timer any further, really. Well, I mean, you can. There's something technically stopping you, but you probably shouldn't. I usually throw it in that fan, but I don't want to waste time. There's also a candle in here, and the only reason I remember that is because when I was first going through it and going for the trophy to like light 20 candles, this was the last one I need. Like this was the 20th one, and I came back through and want my second playthrough. That one. It's just right there. You can just run straight past it and not notice because of how dark the lighting and everything is. But we are in desperate need of food again. Come on, 6, you can do it. We'll get you some food. Be a little trooper. And just like that, we've been taken elsewhere. Not killed instantly, which you would have thought they would have, but oh well. But if you look on the inside, there's more child souls that have been taken and killed. Most of them didn't make it. Let's try and get out of this. If you like try and just tap left, it won't be enough. You have to kind of slam your body about here to get the cage to go off. It's kind of aggressive, but it is what it is. As soon as you're out, if you make a left and break through here, you'll see what I mean about how interconnected this kind of is in reference to the other areas. This is the start of the level over there. There's the door we literally started the part with and went up there to do all the bits and bobs. That's what I mean where it's kind of connected. And as we progress right, we will start seeing familiar parts. We were basically just dragged along to here. Like we weren't taken between floors or through a lift or anything. We were just dragged along a corridor from where we were caught. So now we need to go back on ourselves to try and get out of here. Oh. Be wary of this door, because it does come back down when you let it go. Alright, I'm going to count that as being back. Yeah, I just cut that out. You're supposed to swing on this thing. Completely forgot. You're supposed to swing so you get enough distance that you can squeeze through before the door slams on you. I just forgot. If I was doing hard to the core, that would have just killed it there. Because it's literally that easy to kill your run. Which is why I don't recommend it. Like, every time you look at a guide for it, it's like, I'll do this, do that. They make a point of saying something along the lines of, play offline, and then once you beat a zone, go online so it registers your save, and then like upload your save to the cloud and then continue, but go back offline when you start continuing. So if you fail and die, you can just reload your save without losing it. And it's like the fact that people recommend such an arduous path of doing it kind of proves its point, I fear, of it's just not a fun thing to do. Oh, but this is your first real situation where you have to deal with the blind man. You'll hear the cracks in the wood regardless of how fast or slow you move across it, so you might as well sprint and jump across it to get past it as quick as possible. Then sneak over here. To be fair, from here we could probably book it straight to the tunnel, but I'm not going to count my luck. Like, there's a little tunnel just to the far right of the screen, you can see it. From there, I can imagine you probably could get away with booking it, jumping off the top of this cage and squeezing in before the blind man notices you. But I'm just going to take it slow and do it properly. In this next room, I'm going to check it out first in case there's any secrets. But in this next room, understand that when you start cranking up that door, it's going to make a lot of noise and the blind man will hear you. I don't actually know if that's the name of that creature. I've just always called it Blind Man. And that's kind of the thing. I don't know really the name of any of the creatures in this. Although I don't know how official that it is. Like, it's just always just been the Blind Man, the Chef, the Diners, and the Fair Lady. Which I know I'm kind of getting ahead of myself there and spoiling a little bit still. I got distracted. Don't. I was too busy cranking it up and talking. There's a problem with playing live. As soon as it's open enough, just make the jump. You'll be fine. And whilst you're down here, I think there's another candle. Oh, hello, shoe. I don't know what this game's deal with shoes are. I say that it's about to get much worse. Well, actually, I say that. I think I do know what this game's deal with shoes are. It's the shoes of all the other little people that got killed. Which is really morbid when you think about it. It reminds me of that priest dude from the Castlevania Season 3. Which was like the most unsettling bit of Season 3 in a whole bunch of unsettling bits that was Season 3. The whole last 2 episodes are just uncomfortable. Like, it's proper and it's done well, I think. But it doesn't change the fact it makes you uncomfortable as shit when you're watching them. Even like before the bad stuff starts happening, you're still sitting there going, okay. But this is what I meant. This is the shoe bit. And there's some shoe demon thing in here that also is not only never named, but you never get an identity for it. It reminds me of the water demon from Amnesia. You know, Dark Descent, where it's like there's just a thing in the water, but you never get to see it. Because if you did get to see it, you'd probably realise how poorly designed it is, like the other monster. Because let's be honest, even at the time, the Amnesia's monsters weren't ugly because they were scary. They were ugly because they were really under-designed. Here's where the cage that we got caught in, by the way. So that's how far we were dragged. Because this is the tunnel that we were starving in. This is what I mean. We just moved on. There's the candle. You do got to run through here, though. No matter what you do, it's investigating this way with the intention of going towards the lift, and it just so happens that you're here. As soon as you get into the lift, you see it will stop for a second to give you time to actually find somewhere to hide. It's just the game's way of showing a little bit of mercy. It gives you quite a bit of time as well. See, it's only just come into test. But your best port of call is this little gap in here. There's probably other places you could sneak in and hide to as well, but no, this will do. Because by the time it could potentially find you, it's accidentally going to startle a few other things that will allow us to sneak on by. Case in point, here come the gnomes. And off they go. So it follows that, hearing them instead. And now we're in a new section. I remember this section. When I first got here, it took me a hot minute to work out what to do. Like, all the puzzles I work out to do pretty quickly now is because I struggled on them before, so just hard committed them to memory. You gotta just literally move that box forward and then stand here. And you slip on through. When I first played it, I was trying to push it left and right, and I didn't really notice I didn't really cross my mind to try and do the depth of it, to try and push it either like towards or away from the screen. Also, be wary here. If you click the monkey timer as you go past, there's a chance it will, the blind man will put his hand down that little bit where the ladder was, and will just grab you if you're too close. Let's break that statue. I don't think there's a gnome down here, but it won't have to check. Like, it might be over here if there is one. No? Okay. Let's go back to the ladder. But we gotta lure this thing away. If you try and just sneak on past, there's a point, I'll show it when we get to it, where you will be forced to make a noise, and if it's too close, it will grab you before you have a chance to get away. So grab this monkey timer and kind of just throw it away from you, so it goes off and alerts it. If you're not feeling comfortable that that's a good enough distraction, pick up this monkey timer as well and throw it as well, because it's a set amount of time Blind Man has to be distracted, like his AI has to be distracted before he checks. So when you go up here, that's the triggered sound you have to make. You see how he didn't react to it straight away? he continued sitting on that one because he had to finish the animation of reacting to that first before he reached up there. That's what I mean. I also wish you could pull this to the side, just drop it on him, but whatever. Like, you can manipulate the kind of the thin line workings of the AI. It has to do the animation of reacting to a sound before he reacts to it one way or the other. So making it so the blind man has to react to the first noise so you can make the second one. He will react to him in a sequence so you'll have more than enough time to get away. Can we push this? No. Okay. We can push this door though because it's busted as shit. Look at it. Yeah, I gathered as much. Oh, I remember this section. Hug the back wall and you'll be fine. I don't think the wood will even creak if you stand on it. If you just hug the back wall, pick up a shoe while you're at it, trust me, and then linger over here and just kind of wait a minute until you hear all the clocks chime. Like that. Because it will fuck with its hearing, so you can squeeze on through. But it will hear you running across the wood over here, so don't hang around. Here we are. Now, I know there's a gnome in this room somewhere, but I can't for the life of me remember where. So that'll be one I'll have to come back for later. Like, it might be on top of one of these books, but I'm not about to go check all of them to try and find it. There is a trophy or achievement you can get right now, though. If you jump on the piano keys and run along them to make a melody, like just keep on running up and down them, it will give you a trophy called Six's Song. And it's worth going for too, because it's actually a high game score / like high trophy. Like it's a silver trophy on PlayStation. So for something as simple as it being right there, you might as well go for it. Sorry, I know I'm not talking as much as I do in the post stuff. I'm still like being wary to not get caught. Like I'm still trying not to get jumped, you know. And I'm still trying to get back into the swing of it because, you know, it has been a while since I've done commentary, especially live. I don't do live as often as I probably should, and I do enjoy doing live. It's just post is easier. Post is way easier because I can just put my controller down and chat. I just hit a button and wait and start talking about what's going on screen. I can talk about what's already going. When it's live, I have to kind of babble on as I play, and it's not as easy as you probably should be. Be wary knocking shit over here, though. Like, if you're going to make a sound, try and make it further away to give yourself more space. Also, rather cheekily, there's a candle right there. Like I said, this is why I'm glad that the trophy for lighting candles isn't like every single one. It's like 20. Because then you can avoid ones like that one, because you can't climb back up because there's too much space between the books. So you have to sneak in here, which it will hear you across the wood, and then try and get over here and get through before you cause too much racket. But this next section is kinda controlled. And what I mean is, like, you turn on the TV to make a noise to distract the blind man, but he never turns the TV off. He just kind of stands and staring at it, so as long as you don't make a super loud racket, he will never cotton on. He will just stay there. Come on, blind man. I know you can hear this. Here he is. And so he'll go at it and then kind of rub his hands across the screen instead of doing anything else. Which I think that's like the only TV in this game. Which makes me wonder even more about what happened to this world. Like, when in this game's canon did things start falling apart and this world become this destructive? Like, what led to its ruin? I've heard the sequel was a prequel, so maybe that will explain a few things. Also, be worried that you make a lot of noise doing this and Blind Man will hear it. But Blind Man's on the other side of the entire fucking building, so you've got a while. Just get it up to a comfortable height and go for it, and you should have more than enough time. Case in point, we didn't even see him. there's another candle here. Like, the screen got dark and moody because he did get close-ish, but he didn't really get close. Alright, now for like the most pointless section. Oh, that's a bit cruel. It's more like this section, like you're dealing with a blind man, you're doing puzzles that involve you trying to navigate around him, and then out of nowhere there's just push a minecart over a steam vent to open a door and then can get back to blind man. It's like, I get that this is probably more of the breather challenge between the fear obstacles and such, that just give you a moment to catch your breath. But the catch your breath moments that are in these kind of games shouldn't be as noticeable as they are here. Like, this is very apparent we're just trying to kill time here. Because you have to slowly drag it, jump across, slowly pull it, and then you have to push it on the other side to make the distance. Like, it's just a time waster to try and chill you out. But if you're gonna, they don't need to be this long in any sense. This is cool though, even if admittedly I've run off that edge more times than I care to admit, where I've just tapped the door open and then tried to push through. But that's just me being impatient. Even when I was like first went through it, I just clicked the door open and immediately let it go the moment it started to open and barge through it like a psycho. I think there's another candle in here as well, because you know there's a million of these bloody things. If you're just going through casually and keeping an eye out for them, you should probably get 20 before you reach the end. So really don't worry. Okay, that got me. I wasn't paying attention, I was too busy chatting shit. But yeah, the two holes in the wall was like, I wonder if the long arm guy will put his hand through. If you try and go back, the other hand will come out. What you're waiting for is this hand to start rubbing across the ceiling, and then you just gotta try and squeak past. Like this. There you are. And you see the hand returned, and his movement is gonna start chasing us as soon as we get out of here. Yeah, there we go, run. Just start running preemptively so you can get some more room between you and it. Oh god, this section. This section is the biggest criticism I'm gonna give. Like, it took me forever to work out what to do in this fight. Because if you yank on the chain, because you're supposed to yank on the cage. Oh well, I did that wrong. What you're supposed to do is you gotta yank on the cage to break it, to make it drop on its arms. But if you yank on it a little bit, you won't get anywhere with it, and you could be convinced, like I was, into believing that you're doing it wrong. And you only really notice maybe to go back to it with how many times the blind man will put a hand over it. Maybe he's trying to protect it. But if you look at how long you have to yank on this thing, if you yank on it for a second and then the hand comes back, you let go and run away, you've convinced yourself it won't open because you had to yank on it and she didn't do anything. And that is something that I can criticize on the game. They don't, in my opinion, do a good enough job at signaling what the hell you're supposed to do at this point. Like, it's probably why this game doesn't really do boss fights per se, because I don't think they really knew what they wanted to do with them, and so none of them feel as interconnected as they probably should have been. Oh, that was close. Oh god, get off me! Ugh. I hate the fact that its hands wiggle for another few seconds after it stops. But you can hear that thing reaching in the background. It's not dead, we just ripped off his arms. So now it can't, it's lost two senses, it lost its sight, and now it's lost its touch. Ugh. I don't like long things, like long slimy thin things like that. They just put me off. Not as bad as marionettes and dolls. Marionettes and dolls are my weakness in horror. But that being said, next time on Little Nightmares, we'll continue our escape through the moor as we go through the kitchen. Until then, you guys take care now.